In this hand, you're playing a low stakes tournament on a large anonymous American facing site. The buy-in is somewhere between $5 and $50. This player is not fantastic. That's what you need to know. So this player, who is not fantastic, as we established, raises to 3.5 big blinds here pre-flop. What would you like to do? Fold, call, or raise? You get about a few seconds on each one of these quiz questions, or about one sip of my coffee. Right after I ask the question, if you think you're going to need more time, press the pause button. All right, that is time. We call here. And the board comes Queen 9-10. Villain 35 bets 2.6 big blinds into 7.8. It is on you, full call or raise. I've seen your commentary too, by the way, guys, where some of you want me to go a little bit faster on the quiz questions, but I also want to give you some time to actually think through these situations because when you're playing, there's a lot of adrenaline. You want to be mindful of the pace of play. You want to be polite. Here, you can actually take a second to catch your breath and think about a situation. And if you come up with a new exploit that you haven't come up with before, that could help you for the next 20, 30 years. So why don't we just take a few seconds and think about this? What do you think you should do here? Fold, call, raise? What do you want to do? 3 more seconds. You should raise, in my humble opinion. You know why? People tip their pitches a lot in No Limit Hold'em, and live they do it a lot more. But if he had a set, if he had a two pair, if he had a strike, that's a very dangerous board. There's flush draws and straight draws everywhere. If he had a two pair, if he had a set, if he had a straight, if he had an overpair, he's probably not betting 2.6 into 7.8. He would probably bet bigger to protect his hand and to simultaneously get value from his hand. Now, a lot of people have this leak. They don't know they have this leak, but you can see it in them if you watch them long enough. I've done poker lessons every morning for decades, over a decade, a long time. And there's a lot of times the way I know this is because a lot of the times I'd be playing back the hands of my students and I go, do you realize you're going really small here on this super coordinated board? Whenever you're trying to control the pot size, whenever you have ace 10 here or like ace 9 or pocket eights, just some you don't want to get blown off of. Or you feel like you're supposed to see bet, but you're afraid to with something you completely missed with. If you had the set, if you had the two pair, if you had the straight, if you had the overpair, it's very likely on this board with flush draws and straight draws, he bet bigger to protect himself. So what does he have when he bets this small? People will tell you, oh, you shouldn't raise here because he could be doing a super deceptive value bet. But what percentage of the time is he doing that? We're talking low stakes poker here. This is not some high stakes game. This is most likely someone trying to get to a cheap showdown. By the way, the hand's not over if he calls you raise. So if he calls you raise, I would prefer not to have. I don't like having to harden my hand. Well, I guess he doesn't bet fold hard, so never mind about that. But long story short, I'm not that worried about the hand. The good thing about this hand is it's most likely worthless. And what I mean by that is if you turn a 5, you know the hand's most likely good. So you can start going for value. If you brick the turn, you know most likely this hand isn't worth anything. So you're not going to get overly committed to it. This is very different than when people have, say, like ace 9 and diamonds on this board and they raise to find out where they're at. That can get really confusing on the turn because now, okay, did the guy just call you with a bear jack? Did the guy just call you with a hard draw? Is your hand still good? Or did the guy call you with a queen or a 10? How should you proceed? Here, you know you're bluffing most of the time. And here, when he calls you, you know he most likely would have raised again with a straight. You know he most likely would have raised again with a set. Most people go, oh, it's my lucky day. I can just get the money in. And then I can complain if he hits his draw. If I call, then he hits his draw. It's my fault, and I'm going to feel bad about myself, which I don't want to do because I don't want to feel bad about myself on my day off. That's what work is for. Feeling second guessing yourself, right? You're trying to feel good when you play poker. You're trying to have fun. I get it. It's recreational. So most people are pretty risk averse here. But yeah, when he just calls you on a board with flush draws and straight draws there, it's really likely to be one pair. The other reason it's really likely to be one pair is because that's the most common combination for him to have. Like if you count the combinations, that's going to be the most likely one. So when you raise here, he'll surely just call you with a weak queen, 10 or 9. But he'd probably be tempted to raise with a set, a straight, something along those lines, which we're already heavily discounting. If he just calls you there, you know most likely it's a mediocre pair. So all you got to do is fire on the turns and rivers that are not good for a mediocre pair. I like firing the hearts. It's worked pretty well for me. I guess you are blocking like a 5-6 of hearts that raises there if you're the type of person to raise with those small flush draws. You turn Jack, King, 8 doesn't hit him the majority of the time. You can keep firing that. There's a lot of potential here, but you got to give yourself that opportunity. You can't just let these dead basic players try to control the pot size out of position with these tiny bets that actually are capping their range. If you want to learn more about bluffing, look in the information section of this video. I have a full-length training package about how to triple barrel bluff. Check that out. You'll love it. And if you want more content just like this, go to pokerheadrush.com. That website, one more time, pokerheadrush.com.